Hello, Internet. It is I, the Malik Aaron, and welcome back to Box Office Predictions. Today, we're going to be talking about Ant-Man and the Wasp: Quantumania. So, as usual, we're going to be going over the pros and cons. So, let's get to it. Pros: the MCU. Okay, everyone on planet Earth knows what the MCU is, but for some reason, you don't. I'm going to go over it very fast. So the MCU, it's been around for 15 years at this point. It's the biggest franchise of all time. It's made billions upon billions upon billions upon billions of dollars. I mean, look at this. 2.7 billion, 2 billion, 1.9, 1.5, 1.3, 1.3, 1.2, 1.1. Look at all those billion-dollar movies. Then a bunch of movies made 900, 800, 700, 600. Lots of movies making big money. Big money. It's nothing to sneeze at all. And yeah, so obviously being a part of a franchise like this is automatically a good thing because there's been so much like brand loyalty and just fans and all that. Like just legions and legions of fans. So being associated with a brand like this is automatically a pro at this point. All right. Because the MCU, while it's still a juggernaut, some cracks are beginning to show. And I will talk about that later when we get to the cons. But overall, it's the MCU, biggest franchise ever. So that's an automatic pro. Another pro is that the Ant-Man movies, they've done pretty well, although they are some of the lower grossing MCU flicks. But on their own merits, okay, on their own merits, they've done all right. I mean, the first Ant-Man came out in 2015. It made 180 million domestic or 500 million worldwide, which is pretty good for a character that's most people never really heard of. It's very, like Ant-Man as a character is very C list. So for a C lister to make this type of money, I say that's pretty nice. And then the sequel, Ant-Man and the Wasp, came out 3 years later. It made 600 million, so a nice little increase there. And now we have Ant-Man 3. So the previous two Ant-Man movies, they were pretty well received, although Ant-Man the Wasp got a bit more of a tepid response. A lot of people generally like the first Ant-Man. I really like the first Ant-Man. I don't remember Ant-Man the Wasp like at all. That movie, ugh, I I can't remember it from life, but I don't remember hating it. So there's that. So yeah, the previous Ant-Man movies, they were received well enough. They made a decent amount of money, even though it wasn't quite up to the MCU's high standards. I'll go over that when we get to the cons, but on their own, these performances are fine. So you have the third movie in that little sub series of movies. Yeah, that's it. And the Ant Man movies are in a good enough place financially. So yeah. So the previous movies being hits, I'm gonna label that as a pro. Another pro, we have not had a single like big money tentpole movie since Avatar: The Way of Water. That came out mid-December of last year. It's been 2 months. 2 exact months since that. And I mean, sure, we've had some hits. We've had Puss in Boots 2, which was a surprise smash. And then you got Mithrigan, which also did extremely well. But besides those, it's been quiet. It has been dead, especially throughout like February, especially last weekend. Last weekend was pitiful, so sad. The top movie only made like $8 million, and that was Magic Mike, Magic Mike's Last Dance. When the top movie only makes $8 million, something has gone bad. Okay, things were not good. So yeah, so the fact that there hasn't been a blockbuster esque movie in a long time, that's gonna drive a lot of people to see this because is a big budget movie with superheroes, and superheroes, as you know, is like the biggest genre right now. It's been the biggest genre for like 20 plus years at this point. So, yeah. So yeah, I believe, and not to mention, competition is just non-existent right now. I mean, every movie is either super old or super dead, and obviously that's going to help this movie a lot. So yeah, the fact that we haven't had a big tempo movie in 2 months, and the fact that every movie that's out right now is old or dead, is a great thing for this movie's chances. So I'm gonna label that as a pro. Just no competition, and just audiences just starving for blockbuster content. So that's really two pros. So I'm labeling those as pros. Um, Another pro is that this Ant-Man movie is a little bit more important than the others, mainly because of Kang here, played by Jonathan Majors. Kang the Conqueror. He is being built as the MCU's next big bad. It's next Thanos, pretty much. So having him in the movie, I think, is going to make it a bit more of like a necessary watch for like the grand scheme of the MCU, or at least in theory, that's what it should be. Um, so yeah, I say having that character in this movie, because I know he was in Loki, but that was a Disney Plus show. But here, this is his debut in the movies. And I know one of the Avengers sequels is Avengers: The Kang Dynasty, so you know he's going to be an important player in this franchise. So yeah, having him in the movie, I imagine it's going to drive some people to watch it. So yeah, having Kang in this movie, I'd say that's a pro. Um, any other pros? Well, I guess I can mention it's Thursday night previews made like 17.5 million. Now, okay, so these numbers are a little weird because you had to compare them to so many things. Like if we were to I have to compare this. All right. If we were to compare this to say Black Panther Wakanda Forever or Thor Love and Thunder or Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, all these movies coming out last year, it looks kind of bad. Okay. Black Panther 2, 28 million Thursday preview. Um Thor Love and Thunder, going to that. 29 million Thursday night previews. And then Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness, right here, 36 million previews. So, yeah, 17.5 doesn't look like a lot in comparison. But, obviously all three of these movies were sequels to bigger MCU flicks. All right. They had a bit more hype to them in comparison to Ant-Man 3, but compared to say Ant-Man and the Wasp or like the first Ant-Man, it looks a lot better. So Ant-Man and the Wasp, its Thursday previews was 11.5 million. And for the original Ant-Man, its Thursday preview was 6.4 million. So Ant-Man 3 is a big step up in terms of its Thursday previews are a big step up in comparison to its predecessors. So that's a good sign. And not to mention, uh, comparing this to like non-MCU movies, you have Avatar: The Way of Water, which came out 2 months ago. Its Thursday previews was let's see, 17 million. Okay, so this is higher than that by a bit. You got Jurassic World, Dominion last year. Its Thursday previews were 18 million. So this is a step below that, but more or less around the same numbers. Top Gun Maverick, its Thursday previews were let me find them. 19.3 million. So not too far behind that. And then last, I gotta find it. The Batman. Okay. The Batman. It's Thursday preview. It's okay. It says 21.6. That is misleading. You have to put an asterisk beside that because that includes 2 days of previews. It was like 4 million worth of like an IMAX showings like earlier that week, and then the rest it was actual Thursday previews, which is really like 17.6. So it's pretty much on par with the Batman in that regard. Now, comparing Ant-Man 3 to all four of these movies is important because all the four of these movies right here all open to over 100 million domestic. 134, 145, 126, 134. So, the fact that Ant-Man and the Wasp is preview numbers are around the same level as these four movies, I say that's pretty good. That's a pretty solid sign that this movie's going to hit triple digits opening weekend. So, but I could be wrong. MCU movies have becoming more and more front loaded recently. But overall, if it's previews, like compared to like other non MCU movies, compared to its predecessors, I say it's in a good space. I have to go all the way back. Ugh, sorry. All right. I say it's in a good space when it comes to its preview numbers. And it helps that it's in February, so the fact that it did better and like pretty much like Jurassic World Dominion came out in summer, so it's a lot easier to go to Thursday night previews in summer than it is in February. All right. And same goes for Top Gun Maverick. So these numbers are pretty impressive for like February standards. Very impressive for February standards. So yes, Thursday previews, I'm gonna label them as a pro. Uh let's see. I think that's it. Okay, I'm pretty sure that's it. Is it? I think I've covered everything with pros. Yeah, I think I covered everything. Cons. This is quite a bit to talk about. Okay, reviews. They are not good at all. They're pretty bleh. Very, very bleh. Like, I thought this movie would have like average reviews like 60 to 70%, like whatever movie, but no. Its previews are at freaking not previews, as reviews 48%. Ouch from critics. Its audience score is better at 84%, but still at 48%. I believe that's tied for the worst for the MCU. I think I don't know if Eternals did worse. I'm because that was the previous lowest. I need to find out. Um, Eternal 47%. So this is literally a percentage point above that movie, and we all know how shit the Eternals movies was. Okay, that is a movie I never want to experience ever again. So the fact that this Ant-Man 3 is on par with the Eternals reviews wise scares me. And that it should be like a red flag for its movies, maybe not opening weekend, but for its longevity. Oh, that's going to be a problem. Um so yeah, that's bad. And its audience score seems fine on the surface. Like I checked its cinema score because it's up, and its cinema score about to find it. It's a B, which really screams like super mid word of mouth. Like comparison, like Eternals. Eternals got a B2, so ugh. This is not great at all. What did Thor Love and Thunder was a B plus, so that's a little better. Doctor Strange 2, what did that get? B plus. So getting a B is not great at all. Like B plus or higher, you're in the safe zone. Once you get under that, you're in the danger zone. And once you get like the C's and D's, it's game over. So yeah, word of mouth is not going to be in this movie's favor. Yeah, so reviews are bad, or I guess you could say super mid, technically, because his reviews are better than say Morbius. Okay, It's nowhere near as bad as that, but still, reviews are not good. Audience scores and like the cinema score screams mixed word of mouth. So that although it may not affect its opening weekend, it will affect it long term wise, like after opening weekend. So yeah, those things are a big con right there. Just lackluster response in general. Another con is that the MCU, as big as it is, it is showing it's showing a lot of weakness recently. Like ever since, you know, like from Iron Man to I would say Far From Home, things were great. Fantastic. Almost flawless when it comes to its box office. Like movies were just making money. Like all of them were making like millions upon millions, even billions of dollars in cash. It was great. It was a grand old time. Then things started to go awry when COVID happened, and like a lot of their pretty much their whole slate after that had to be pushed back. Yeah, so if right, so there was a 2 year gap, and Phase Four. Well, I guess Phase Four technically start. Which movie started Phase Four? Was it Far From Home? I think it was. I'm pretty sure it was. I'm not super sure. I'm going to check. It was either Far From Home or Black Widow. One of them. Far From Home. Let me see. Let me see. Phase 4, phase okay, Phase 4 officially started with Black Widow. Okay. So, phase 1 through 3, great. Phase 4, problems start popping up left and right. Black Widow didn't do too hot. Although you could say that was because of the infamous Disney Plus premiere access thing where it was in theaters and at home on Disney Plus for like $30. Scarlett Johansson got real pissed about that because she's like, "Hey, that wasn't in my contract," and she got into a legal scuffle with Disney, and it was a whole mess. But box office wise, 300 less than 300 million compared to 200 million budget. Oof, not great. Shang-Chi and the Eternals didn't do that much better, really. Like, obviously, not too many movies were doing great, but for the MCU, you think they would do better because of just the MCU brand name, but no, not really. But then No Way Home, smash hit, undisputed smash, 1.9 billion. Like, nothing wrong with that. There's zero issues with that. Then you got Doctor Strange in the Multiverse of Madness. It came real close to $1 billion. Really close, but not quite. But you can't call that a flop. Thor Love and Thunder made 760 million worldwide. A bit lower than Ragnarok, but still not enough to be labeled a disappointment. Plus it's the biggest movie of the Thor movies like in the States. And then Black Panther Wakanda Forever is now by like 855 million, which is a lot worse than the first movie, but I don't think too many people were expecting it to match or exceed the total of the first movie. That was a little extreme. But a lot of these movies had pretty iffy receptions, particularly Thor Love and Thunder. People hate that movie. I thought it was just super mid, but people really dislike it. Same goes for Doctor Strange too. I thought it was, at least I at the time I thought it was okay. But granted, I've only seen a lot of these movies once. Maybe if I see them again, my tune will change. But yeah, yeah, people are kind of falling out of love with the MCU, and don't even get me started about the TV shows. Like God, like on paper they sounded like a good idea, but in execution, I feel like it's just done a whole lot of damage to the brand. It's just kind of devaluing the brand, like so many just pumping out at once. It's exhausting. I haven't even gone through WandaVision yet. I haven't even started the rest because how am I supposed to get through all that? It's just it's just too much. It is peak oversaturation, and that's something you don't want a franchise to go through because like the if you pump out too much content, people are going to get burned out real fast. They're going to walk away, and then the series dies out. That's what happened with Guitar Hero. All right. that that suffered like through a whole lot of oversaturation. And I'm seeing the same thing here with the MCU. So, things could be a whole lot better. And I don't think Ant-Man 3 is going to make them better. And like the rest of the slate is very like iffy. I mean, there's some movies here I want to see, like Fantastic Four. I want to see Guardians of the Galaxy Volume 3. Deadpool 3 is not here, but I want to see it. I'll watch that. But the rest are just like shoulder shrug, which is not good. Because originally it was like, oh, you had to watch all the movies, but I think people are now starting to pick and choose which movies to watch, and that's not good for the brand. So yeah, the MCU's I guess decline. I guess you can definitely label it as a decline. The MCU going through, I guess, franchise rot, kinda like semi-franchise rot. I That's definitely a con. That's a con that I feel is going to get worse as the MCU rolls on. So yeah, so yeah, franchise rot. I would label that as a con. And I guess another con is that the Ant-Man movies. I mean, sure they made money on their own, but compared to like the rest of the MCU, ooh, is ugh. I mean, they are all the way down here, like Ant-Man and the Wasp, like underneath Thor: The Dark World. No one even remembers that movie, and it made less than that. And then there's like the original Doctor Strange, and then Captain America: Winter Soldier. We're talking like these are old movies. Um, but I mean, it did make more than say Iron Man 2 and like the first Iron Man. But yeah, it's near the bottom of the MCU totem pole. And yeah, like the Ant-Man movies, they kind of just have this reputation of being like, oh yeah, those exist. Which sounds really mean, but it's kind of true. Like when you think of MCU movies, like your mind immediately goes to like the Avengers movies or No Way Home or Black Panther or like Civil War or the Guardians of the Galaxy movies or like Thor Ragnarok or stuff like that. Hell, even Captain Marvel in a way. But Ant-Man, they just kind of they come out and then they're just quickly forgotten. And I feel like Ant-Man 3 is going to be a little more memorable, but granted that's for all the wrong reasons because the movie's not good. um but yeah, just like the Ant-Man movies having the reputation for just existing, being like the smallest players in the MCU, pun intended. Yeah, that's not great. So I'm gonna label it as a con. Just the Ant-Man movies, how the public sees them as being just like the other movies in the MCU. That's not a good thing. So that's a con. Um, those like the real like, big cons, I think. Well, I oh yeah, movies coming up next weekend won't be bad. All you have is Cocaine Bear and Jesus Revolution. Those are minor movies. They might do okay, but they're not gonna beat Ant-Man 3. March, oh boy. Like every single weekend in March, there is like a big-ish movie coming out. I mean, you start with Creed 3, then Scream 6, then Shazam, Fury of the Gods, then John Wick Chapter 4, then Dungeons and Dragons, Honor Among Thieves. Not Don't even get me started on April with like the Super Mario Brothers movie coming after that. So that's a lot. That's just a steady stream of movies that are gonna, you know, take a toll on Ant-Man 3. They're gonna put dents in that thing, and I feel like this movie's gonna its legs are not gonna be great. Not only because reviews are kind of piss poor, but also just competition in general. Like come March, it's gonna be brutal. It's gonna be relentless, and it's not gonna stop. So yeah, competition coming up in March is a big con for this movie. Absolutely a big con. Um, and that's pretty much it. That's all I can really say. I've covered all the big points. All right, so opening weekend. Okay, I forgot to mention this is a holiday weekend. Shoot, this is President's Day weekend. I might as well label that as a pro because this weekend, big movies have come out in the month of February. It's not quite as much of a dump month as say January, but February is not great. But big movies can play. I mean, we've seen that in the past with say the first Deadpool and the first Black Panther. Both of those movies broke February. They broke all expectations for what a February movie could do. And they both came out like the same weekend, like that same holiday weekend. And yeah, this like opening week is Deadpool 132, Black Panther 200. Like, goddamn, that is insanity right there. So, yeah, yeah. And not to mention, there's been other movies. There's the 50 Shades of Grey. There's the Lego movie. There's Sonic movie. There's several Uncharted last year. I'm trying to think of some others off the top of my head. Kingsman. How could I forget that? Uh, but yeah, I mean, February can be a good time to release a movie, especially around like the holiday weekend. Like it could be really good. And Passion of the Christ. That was like a that was another movie that broke February. It took like 11 years for that record to be beaten. It was beaten by 50 Shades of Grey of all movies, but thankfully that record was beaten 1 year later with Deadpool, and then that record was beaten 2 years later with Black Panther. I don't see a single movie coming out in the next 10, 20, 30 years that'll beat Black Panther's record. So, yeah, that Black Panther's that record is going to be safe pretty much forever. So, yeah, February, and just President's Day weekend, I would definitely label that as a pro. And so now we get to actual predictions. So you gotta do 3 day and 4 day. 3 day. These Thursday preview numbers indicate it could reach triple digits, but word of mouth tells me I I don't know. It has a 50-50 chance of making the triple digits, but I'm gonna say it will. I think the holiday weekend is going to make this movie a little less front loaded than it probably would be under like a normal weekend. So I'm going to say 100 to 110. That's my, yeah, yeah, 100 to 1. You know what? I'm going to be safe. 90 to 110. That's what I'm going with for like the 3 day. Actually, this is so hard. Screw it. 100 million. Just 100 million. Let's go with that for the 3 day. 100 million. It might do a little better than that, a little worse, but I'm gonna go with 100 million just to have like a clear number. And it's 4 day. I don't know, 115, 120, I guess. I think that's fair. And then it's total. Ooh, I don't expect this to have long legs after opening weekend. I really don't. I mean, the last few Marvel movies have been very front loaded. So I don't expect this to be any different, especially with reviews being so So what okay, going back to the previous Ant-Man movies. Um what did Ant-Man and the Wasp make? 216? 216. All right. I think this is going to go a little higher than that. I think this will be the biggest Ant-Man movie domestically. I don't know by how much, but I think it will be the biggest. I don't know. Oh, this is a struggle. 220 to 250, somewhere in that range for its final total. That's where I see it landing. Um uh you know, yeah, the 220 to 250 total. I don't know about worldwide though. We'll see about that. And yeah, that's it. That's it for Ant-Man 3. Yeah. So we have one more movie to talk about this weekend. That movie is Marlowe, a movie nobody's gonna watch or nobody is watching right now. So that's fun. So stay tuned for that. But yeah, that's it. That's all. Make sure to subscribe, like this video, leave a comment, turn on notifications, share the whole drill. Want to check out more videos like this? I got playlists on the homepage, all previous, you know, prediction videos I made this year. And if you want to watch any of those or any of the other ones I've done the past few years, you can go right ahead. Canceled. There's a canceled series where I go over all the movies that were supposed to come out but didn't. I literally just made a cancel episode a little while ago about the Marvels being delayed, the Haunted Mansion movie taking its spot, and My Big Fat Greek Wedding 3. I just did that. So it's now 178 episodes. But I have talked about Ant-Man in the past several times. The first time, I believe, going back to, yeah, the first time was episode 60. Talked about it alongside Guardians of the Galaxy 3 and Reminiscence and Finch. That was the first time. Second time was part 80, episode 84. Talked about it alongside Doctor Strange 2, Thor Love and Thunder, Black Panther Wakanda Forever, The Marvels, and Indiana Jones 5. Talked about it alongside those. Next up, I guess the final time was episode 124, where I talked about it alongside The Marvels and how they swapped dates. So, yeah, 3 times, 3 episodes. So if you want to watch those or any other ones I've done, like very recently, or like the others are like super old, you can go right ahead. If you want to binge them all from beginning to now, I highly encourage you to do that. So go do it. There's also box office recaps where I go over the box office results for any particular month. I just did the January recap, like as I'm recording this yesterday. Um, so that's up. The February recap will come out to like hopefully the beginning of March, like the first week of March, if things go to plan. So stay tuned for that. But if you want to watch any of the past recap videos I made on the channel, you can go right ahead. And yeah, that's it. That's all. I am out. Goodbye.